it fast. Right here on the Anycast. Make it strong, make it last. Right here on the Anycast.
All right, I am here today with Gord Vickman. Gord, how the hell are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. Never better.
I just candidly, I have been better in my life than this moment. So
I probably have too. I mean,
don't hold it
tropical beach, cold beer in hand. There's probably been better moments, but right now there's nowhere else in the world I'd rather be than here with you, Matt.
Oh, likewise. Give us a little bit on who the hell you are, how you got here, where you came from, where are we today? Who's Gord?
Gord is a former morning radio producer and host for Chorus Entertainment up here in Canada. Those in the media biz might be familiar with it. It's a company that is on the verge of bankruptcy and liquidation right now. But it was healthier 20 years ago when I started. And for a period of about a decade, I was the producer and host of 2 morning radio programs down in wonderful London, Ontario. It's a town about 2 hours southwest of Toronto. I looked at the industry and I asked myself, where am I going to be if I stick around here in about 15 years? What is this industry going to look like? And I didn't like what I saw. So I moved independently into the podcast space and taught myself everything I needed to know, and then parlayed that into a role with a strategic coach here in Toronto. Moved up the highway. I went to university here and then moved down to London for the role itself, and then found my way back to Toronto. After doing a bit of work on my own as an audio professional, which is my background, and found my way to strategic coach, work very closely with Dan Sullivan, and we have an 11 podcast network right now that promotes the ideas, thoughts, concepts of Dan Sullivan, Shannon Waller, and our associate coaches, a lot of our members. It's a lot of podcasts, but we have a great team and everything's very well organized, and we pump them out as expeditiously as we possibly can. And, Dan's time is quite precious, but he really loves podcasting. So he places a priority on recording his programs, and then we do the rest. So I oversee the podcast network. And like I said, we have a team, we have writers, we have editors, we have producers, we have a social media team. So everybody chips in and we get the shows out.
Nice. Well, I'd love to dive in more to coach, but I want to hear more about what writing you saw on the wall in radio.
I saw the radio conglomerates trying to fire their way to profitability. They were just shaving people off left and right. People were having 2, 3, 4 different job titles, like business cards were the size of iPads, because that's how big they had to be to fit all your job titles on it. People were just doing like 18 different things. And I said, this is probably going to continue. It's probably not going to stop. And then, the goal is always, think about, let's use like Major League Baseball. You start out in AAA, then you move up to AA and then single A. Or if you're a hockey fan, you start out in junior and you move your way up through the system. But what they were doing was that path didn't really exist anymore because they were trying to get the razzle dazzle. They were hiring sort of like C-list celebrities to host radio shows in major markets because they already had that built-in audience, right? They didn't,
right.
It wasn't about like cutting your teeth in a city like Sudbury, Ontario, where I was born, a city of 200,000 people. And then you move up to, Winnipeg, and then you go to maybe Calgary, and then you bump up to Vancouver, and then you hit Toronto. So there was no real path forward to hit those ultra major markets because all those positions were being filled by celebrities or former musicians or whomever because they had the built-in audience already. So there was really no path for me to get where I wanted to go, which was a major market morning show, preferably in Toronto. There was just no way to get there.
So one of the things that I've heard you and Dan talk about specifically around AI, and then it might be even specific to deepfakes and the like, is I'm going to blank now. Knowledge versus wisdom.
Okay.
And so the knowledge is now seeing that this car is on fire in the parking lot, but the wisdom is knowing that maybe it's not, or maybe it is, and being able to decipher what seem like very obvious facts from reality. Along those lines is like at some point the skill will develop, or the set of skills that will develop really quickly probably, is how one interacts with the AI, both in terms of information that you're being presented that was generated through it, but also in the generating it. How do you see how the human element, or for the sake of podcast conversations, like the creative side, it's a tool for the creative side, and there's a chance that the tool, usurps its purpose and starts generating content. How do you see that human wisdom, that human part that AI or at least language models will never be able to replicate? And what's the distinction?
Well, you kind of nailed it there when you're like, knowledge, you can impart the knowledge. You can teach someone something, but wisdom is something that comes from within. It's the accumulation and the dissemination of that knowledge. In a weird way, it's like, I wonder if podcasting has kind of reached its zenith. I wonder if it's kind of at kind of like the iPhone, like people are whining about the iPhone. What just came out? Was it 16? I think so. 16. I have an X because I'm at the stage of life where I replace my phone when it stops working.
Yes.
That's just what I do. But my mother-in-law buys a new phone pretty much every 2 years. So I just wait for her to get one and then I get her old one. So I just don't buy phones anymore. So there's an example. So we mentioned that podcast movement conference, and I went to this is years ago. It might have been like the Denver one or the Dallas, maybe the Orlando. I can't remember, but there was a company and they were working with spatial audio. Okay. So they're like, and it was this guy and he was up there and he had this thick German accent. He's like, if they're listening to your podcast on the iPhone and they have the right headphones, you can tell them to nod and they will get a website from you. And I don't know, just his accent made it sound kind of evil. I might have butchered it there.
If it helps, that sounded very evil.
Very evil.
Yeah.
So basically what they were working on, and I don't know anything about this, but it's like, so you have your Apple AirBuds in, and then you're listening to it on your iPhone. You could say on the program, if you want to know more about my company, nod yes. So the person would nod, and then you'd look at your phone, and then your preferred browser would be up, and it would just have the thing there. Or it's like, if you want this, like shake your head no. So it's like you would shake your head no, I don't want this. And I remember sitting there, and I'm like, that's really neat and useless. It's one of those things, like, it's really neat that someone's doing it, but it's also incredibly useless because you have to make many assumptions. Like, what percentage of the people who are listening to you are listening on an iPhone with AirBuds in right now who definitely want to know more about you? It's probably in the minority of your podcast listenership. I'm sure there are lots of people, and all of it,
and who are going to be able to open their phone to look at the link.
Yeah.
But don't want to, so they're willing to take the phone out of the pocket to read the thing, but they don't want to pull it out of their pocket and click the link in the show notes to read the thing.
No, because you can just click more once you're interested. Once you're done and you just click more, and then there it is, and there you go. So I thought that's interesting. But there's a lot of people that are building interesting things. Interesting does not mean useful. That's an interesting thing that you can shake your head or nod your head, and you can get more information about whoever's talking to you. It's interesting, but doesn't necessarily mean it's useful. So it's like, and at the time people were like, this is the future of podcasting. Everyone's going to be doing things. Everyone's going to be, like, it's like, if you want more information about my German products, like, fart now. And it's like, well, okay. So where you asked, like, what is the future, or like, where are we going with this? It's like, that's where some people think it's going, but you're just like trying to shoehorn more innovations, like more cyborg behavior into something that works fairly well right now.
Awesome. Gord, thank you so much for your time. This was fun.
I had a really good time today. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've had a freeform discussion like this with really great questions and super interesting. And I got a lot off my chest. So this was therapeutic for me. Thank you. Send the invoice. Yeah. You have my email address. Send the invoice over.
Awesome. Thanks, Gord.
Thank you.
Another round, so much more to talk about. Gonna aim to satisfy with help from Cashfly. Get to it fast. Right here on the Anycast. Make it strong, make it last. Right here on the Anycast. The Anycast podcast, brought to you by Cashfly.